Big Z Reviews. The Umbrella Academy is a new TV show that's currently streaming on Netflix, and this is based on a comic book series by the same name. And I have not read the comic book series, but I really love this show. It is an excellent show that is really, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Is that my skirt?
Oh, yeah, this. It's very breathy on the bits.
Nice to see nothing's changed. I jumped forward and got stuck in the future. Do you know what I found? Absolutely nothing.
When's it supposed to happen?
In 8 days.
Oh, shit.
So this has an excellent cast of characters. You know, you have like 7 of these kids that were born, like their mothers weren't pregnant, and then they became pregnant, and then during that day they gave birth. And that this one guy, Sir Reginald Hargreaves, played by Colm Feore, he adopts 7 of these kids that are born all in that one same day, and he decides to train them to be a superhero team. So the team of adopted brothers and sisters includes Ellen Page as like the one that doesn't have any powers, and they have Tom Hopper, David Castaneda, Emmy Raver-Lampman, Robert Sheehan, and Aidan Gallagher. And then there's one more that is already dead at the beginning of the season, but still pops up because the one guy, Klaus, for Robert Sheehan, can talk to the dead. Although, like, to not be able to have that power, he essentially has done drugs throughout his life, and he's a drug addict now. And he's probably my favorite character in the show. And, you know, each character really has good moments throughout, and they feel very unique. And even, like, they have side characters, too. Like, I really loved Mary J. Blige and Cameron Britton as Hazel and Cha-Cha. And, like, they come in like they are time-traveling assassins that are there to kill number 5, played by Aidan Gallagher, he disappeared when they were kids, and then now he's reappearing when they're adults. And that he said he traveled in time. He's a teleporter, and he traveled in time, and he went to the world was over. It was an apocalypse, and that like he grew to be like in his 50s or something before he could figure out a way to come back. But when he came back, it turned him back into his younger self, and now he has to try to find a way to stop the end of the world. And you know, that's kind of the show. And I really liked it, but at the same time, like I said, this is a slight spoiler. But for me, if you know like comic books, I could tell what it was doing in like the first episode, or definitely by the second episode, because this essentially is a retelling of the X-Men Dark Phoenix story, and it's kind of disappointing when it gets down to that. Like, obviously, the creator of the comic, he loved the X-Men and wanted to do his own version of them. And it really does work. And honestly, it's probably the best cinematic retelling of the Dark Phoenix stories we've had. And I don't think that will change with the X-Men Dark Phoenix that we're getting later this year. So I don't mind it, but at the same time, it's like, it's a little too evident that they're not quite ripping it off, but it's heavily inspired by that. But it does really work for this, because you get more time with all the characters who actually care about them when things start to go wrong. I definitely would say that this is the best adaptation of the Dark Phoenix storyline since, you know, the animated series. Like, the X-Men animated series maybe does a little bit better, but even though it's different. But, you know, and this is not exactly the same, because they're not, you know, they shouldn't have the people don't have the same powers. But, you know, the idea, the concept is very similar. It's strikingly similar. But I didn't mind. Like, I still really enjoyed it. And, you know, as, you know, throughout this show, like, I really liked all the different twists and turns it takes. And when they start to do, like, the time travel stuff, it's really fun. Although when you actually stop to think about how it actually works, like it doesn't quite make sense. But it's interesting. But at the same time, it's like, but like when they go and like they have this whole this organization that keeps time on the right path. When they decide to pass, but they keep it on the right timeline. But they never really, it never really that clear, because it seems like they're constantly working to maintain things that happen. But that means, is time constantly in flux? Like, because they have to keep changing things, they keep doing things to make it stay in this path they want. Like, it's very clear. But I think there's room like to do more explanation or to do more with it in the further series. But then when I talk about a further series, that one thing is definitely it's confirmed that it's getting a season 2. But if it didn't get a season 2, this season kind of would have sucked, because it doesn't have like ending, like a little bit of a cliffhanger. So it's like, at the same time, it's kind of good because I get to see what happens in the next season. Like if for some reason something happened and they wouldn't be able to make a second season, it would suck. But they are getting a second season, so it's okay. I don't mind a cliffhanger if you're definitely getting a second season. Now, I love the atmosphere of the show and the art direction. Like, I almost wish there was more weird stuff. There's a couple, like, these scenes that really are really interesting. Like, when they have, everyone starts dancing, like, in their separate rooms in their big house, big mansion. And, like, the camera pans out, and you see them, like, a cutaway, like, almost like a dollhouse, where they're all kind of dancing in their rooms. And I love, and there's some other like dance scenes toward the later in the series, and I love that when it gets weirder and different, like otherworldly, like that. I hope that when we go further, there's even more of that sort of thing. I love those moments, but I love the ebb and flow of the show as well. Like from episode to episode, like there's a lot of character growth with all these characters that I really enjoyed. Even like the people that are kind of at first, like you think they're going to be just the villains. Like you start to root for them too, especially with Hazel, with Agnes, who owns or runs this donut shop that they keep going to. Like, and the relationship between those two is so kind of cute. Like, I really liked it, and I liked Pogo, like the really intelligent ape that kind of helps the family run, and there's so many little bits and pieces that I loved, and I would definitely recommend, if you have Netflix, you really have to watch The Umbrella Academy. But I think I'd probably give the show like a 9.25 or a 9.5 out of 10. I really loved it, and I would definitely recommend it. But thanks for watching. You should leave a playlist on my head and subscribe to me at Z over there. Thanks. This has been a Big Z TV show review. Thanks for watching.